After spending an intense lovemaking night with Ted, Annie Walker finds herself doing the walk of shame as Ted kicks her out in the morning. She meets up with her lifelong best friend Lillian, the only positive aspect in her life. Over breakfast, she confesses that she had slept with Ted and Lillian scolds her. She wants Annie to make better choices as Ted is a self-absorbed man who discards her as soon as he has had his release. Lillian expresses concern about how weird her boyfriend Doug has acted. Before parting ways, the two girls look at the Cake Baby bakery shop, revealing that Annie owned the bakery but closed it after the recession. Now she works at a jewelry store, but her negative attitude towards love makes the owner lose many clients. After making a happy couple doubt their relationship and leave the store, the owner scolds her and advises her to leave her issues home. Annie was in a relationship, but after using all her savings to run the bakery, her boyfriend left, leaving Annie alone and bitter. She shares an apartment with two overweight immigrant siblings, Gil and Bryn, and is late for her rent. Later, Annie meets up with Lillian, who shares the great news that she is engaged, hence why Doug had been acting weird. Annie is excited for her friend and agrees to be the maid of honor despite being emotionally overwhelmed. Annie goes to pick up her mother for the engagement party, but the mother has a meeting and won't make it. Seeing how dejected her daughter is, Annie's mother encourages her by saying that the best part of hitting rock bottom is that the only way out is up. Shortly after, Annie goes to Lillian's engagement party and meets the rest of the bridesmaids. She first meets Lillian's cousin Rita, who is long-time married and with 3 kids. Next, she meets Lillian's co-worker Becca, who is recently married and naive. Next, she meets Doug's sister Megan. She is foul-mouthed, raunchy, and freaks Annie out, but has a friendly demeanor. The last bridesmaid is Helen, Doug's boss Pete's snobby trophy wife. Helen is so beautiful, elegant, and rich, making Annie instantly jealous. The two women battle over Lillian's affection, with each trying to outdo the other. After the party, Annie drives home while mocking Helen, causing her to swerve the car and attract a nearby state patrol trooper. The cop, Nathan Rhodes, wants to write her a ticket for having broken taillights. After realizing that Annie was the baker at Cake Baby, a bakery he frequented daily, he lets her off with a warning. He gives her his number and contact information for a local mechanic. Lillian asks Annie to try and get along with Helen so the whole wedding planning can go smoothly. Annie invites the girls over for lunch at some withered-down restaurant. The girls then go dress shopping in a fancy shop, courtesy of Helen. The shopping takes a horrid turn when everyone starts getting sick from the food they ate earlier. Annie pretends to be okay even though Helen taunts her. Meanwhile, Lillian in a wedding dress tries to go to the nearest bathroom but ends up going number 2 on the street. A few days after the bathroom incident, Annie hooks up with Ted again. She tries to invite him to the wedding as her date, but Ted refuses as he doesn't want to define their relationship. Annie is shopping in a supermarket when Nathan sees her. He invites her to share a carrot and the two talk a little. Nathan is Irish-American and Annie wonders whether foreigners can be police officers. The two hit it off and spend a day chasing after speeding guys on the highway. Annie wants to have Lillian's bachelorette party at her parents' lake house. The place is nostalgic and close to Lillian's heart as the two girls used to spend time there when they were little. However, she is overruled by the other bridesmaids, who are excited by Helen's idea to go to Vegas. The girls get first-class tickets, but Annie's financial status forces her to get economy. She is a nervous flyer, so Helen gives her a sedative to calm her down before revealing to Lillian that she had offered to pay for Annie's ticket but she declined. Annie is still nervous, so Helen gives her some scotch to speed things up. Unfortunately, the combination makes Annie high, and she causes disturbance in the first-class cabin. Meanwhile, Becca and Rita share their unhappy sex lives and end up kissing each other. A few aisles down, Megan disturbs a man she assumes is an air marshal. Suddenly, Annie hallucinates and speaks out on the megaphone, causing people to freak out, and the man Megan was disturbing reveals himself as an air marshal. The disturbance causes the plane to make an emergency landing, and the women are kicked out and returned home by bus. On the drive back, Lillian is angry at Annie for ruining her party. She wants Annie to stay on, but feels it would be better if Helen took over the bridal shower and wedding. Dejected, Annie seeks out Nathan and the two hang out. Eventually, the two end up at Nathan's house and spend the night together. In the morning, Annie apologizes for sleeping over, but Nathan smiles, gives her a cup of coffee, and invites her to join him in the kitchen after she dresses up. Annie finds Nathan with various baking supplies, hoping to spend the day baking together. He has been urging Annie to restart baking as she was pretty good at it. However, Annie snaps at Nathan for thinking he knows her and storms off. She calls Lillian and leaves a message asking her to call as soon as possible. Annie is invited to Lillian's bridal shower with butterflies and a text-to-voice box. This angers her and she lashes out at a teenager who has come in to get a present for her best friend. She cusses out the teen and gets fired as a result. Annie gets a voice message from Nathan promising to keep his distance since she's been ignoring him. The siblings kick her out at her apartment as they want to have private time alone. Annie takes her things and goes to her mother's place. Annie attends Lillian's bridal shower at Helen's place. The party has a Parisian theme with champagne and horses. Annie gives Lillian a handmade gift with mementos of the two's time together. However, Helen upstages Annie's gift by offering to take Lillian to Paris. Annie is upset and calls Lillian out for being used by Helen. She reveals that Helen's Parisian theme was actually her idea and goes outside to trash the reception. Lillian is so angry at this and wonders why Annie cannot just be happy for her. She asks her not to attend the wedding either. On the drive home, a motorist hits Annie's car and drives away. Shortly after, Nathan arrives at the scene as he is the responding officer. He blames Annie for causing the accident as she had not fixed her taillights. He also calls her out for using him and asks her to learn to take responsibility for her actions. Suddenly, Ted shows up and Nathan drives off in disgust. Ted tries to get Annie to please him orally, causing Annie to exit the car and end the relationship for good. Over the next few days, Annie locks herself in her room. One day, Megan comes over. She is angry that Annie doesn't count her as a friend and shares her life story. She was bullied in high school, but now she has a top job in the government and is very wealthy. She urges Annie to take control of her life. Annie takes her car to get fixed and is surprised when the mechanic doesn't charge her anything. Happy, Annie introduces the mechanic to her mother. She also starts baking and sends a cake to Nathan's house, but Nathan ignores it and stray cats eat it. On the wedding day, Helen visits Annie, revealing that Lillian is missing. Annie is confused but agrees to help. Helen apologizes for her actions, claiming that she's pretty lonely in her marriage, her stepkids hate her, and she knows that people only seek her out as she is great at throwing parties. She confesses that she was jealous of Annie and Lillian's friendship and admits her role in creating the distance. Annie seeks out Nathan, but he ignores her, so Annie goes to his usual spot. Nathan sees her and closes his window, ignoring her. Annie starts violating traffic rules to get Nathan's attention, but he continuously ignores her. Eventually, she rams her car into the police vehicle, finally getting his attention. Annie explains the situation and begs Nathan to help. He locates Lillian's GPS and she's at her apartment. Annie is grateful, but Nathan is unwilling to forgive her. He is glad she fixed her taillights as he won't have a reason to stop her again. Annie goes to see Lillian alone and finds her curled up in bed. Lillian admits that everything has been so overwhelming with Helen taking over. She is also scared of the life that awaits her, but Annie convinces her that what is coming is better than what she has, and they will always be friends. The wedding ceremony is beautiful as Helen spared no expense in planning. She even organized for Lillian's favorite band to perform her favorite song. The festivities go on through the night until Lillian leaves for her honeymoon. As Annie sets to go home, Helen approaches her and apologizes for everything. She wishes that the two could be friends. Annie finds Nathan waiting for her outside. He has decided to give their relationship another try. The film ends as the two kiss, enter the patrol car, and drive away. Mid-credits, Megan and the air marshal are trying to document their first night of intimacy. Do leave a comment telling us your favorite part of the movie. Hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next recap. Until next time, folks, take care and goodbye.